Hi everyone, this is the second in a series of lessons looking at creating a basic beat using Shimi. At the end of the previous lesson, we just created some notes that we could play through Ableton. In this lesson, we'll start looking at adding some chords as well. So the first thing we're going to want to do is add a chord module. And then I'm going to add my first chord on the F key here. So we use the pressed event, chord, and the one we want is chord root. So now when I press the F key, we don't hear anything, but if we notice on the chord module, we see that it shows a C chord playing, which is what we expect. So by default, Shimi won't actually play or sound the chords that you're playing. This is because sometimes you may only want an arpeggio of the chord, or you may only want that for information to base other melodies around. So if we actually want to hear the chord as well, we can go into the module behaviors here. And this is just like the input behaviors we've seen on our inputs, but certain modules have their own events that we can add behaviors to as well. And we want to focus on the changed behavior, so the changed event. So this is going to be whenever the chord has changed from one chord to another, this event is going to run, and we're going to do the play chord behavior. So now if I play a chord again, we can hear it. And now I'm just going to copy that behavior and I'm going to paste it over the surrounding keys. And a setup I quite like to use for chords in Shimi is to use this kind of hexagonal pattern, where we have the tonic in the center, and then we have the dominant chord just to the right, the subdominant to the left, we have the second degree and third degrees above, and then the 6th and 7th degree chords below. So now we can play various chords. Okay, so there's two glaring problems with that. The first is that it's sounding like a proper dreamscape because all of the chords are just ring out once I've finished playing them. The other is that everything is major right now, so it's not really giving us a clear sense of center. So to fix the first problem of it all sounding very dreamy, that's actually a really simple fix. So all we want to do is make sure that when the chord changes, that this play chord behavior is also stopped. So to do that, we'll go into the changed event again, and this time we're going to go to the logic module, and we're going to do this end my behaviors module, also behavior. And Shimi's added this for us a few times before. This is the first time we're adding it manually ourselves, and I've just moved it above the play chord behavior so that it will run first, because otherwise the play chord behavior would run and then this would immediately stop it from running again, so it wouldn't really do anything. So now if I play my chords, okay, so that's sounding better. So the other problem was that everything was major. So we could fix this by going into each chord and saying, well, we know that the second needs to be a minor, same for the third. We need diminished on the 7th, but that's kind of a hassle and also not particularly flexible if we want to start changing things up later on. And there's actually a far easier way to do things. If we click on the chord module, then we can see we have this link to a scale module here, which is currently left blank. So I'm going to go back into modules, click add scale, and since everything's been based around C major so far, I'm going to select the C major scale, And then back in chord, I can select the scale there. And now when I start playing my chords, so that's sounding far better, far more centered around the actual C major scale. So now there's one more problem which I really have with this, which is that actually the chords are kind of jumping around all over the place. And this can be really clearly shown if we actually just do a quick recording in Ableton. So let's play a few, especially if we jump around like that. And you can see these huge jumps happening here. So to fix this, well, this is what's known as voice leading, or rather a lack of. And Shimi actually already has a voice leading behavior built into it. So I'm going to this time use the changing event, which is fired when Shimi is still trying to figure out what pitches to include in the current playing chord. And I'm just going to make sure that it takes into account the pitches of the previous chord when selecting new ones, so that things don't jump around quite so much. And this target pitch here just means that if all of the pitches in our chord fall below this level, then one or two will be booted up, and similarly if all the chords are above this pitch, one or two will be booted down, so that we don't go all over the spectrum. And so let's just do another recording now. And so we can see there that there's far more consistency. The notes are going from one chord into another far more nicely. So now one really minor thing that I'm just going to change is that actually in the demo we're looking to recreate, this A chord here was actually an A major rather than an A minor. So to do that, I'm just going to also on the pressed event, just do chord shape, and we've set the triad type to major there. So now we go. And that's all sounding good. So this is where I'm going to leave it for this lesson. In the next one, we're going to start looking at drums playing as well. So I'll see you there.